Welcome to the Strategic Coaching Moments. This is episode 7, the final episode in the expert's arc. There's a point where this stops being about one situation, one message, one misread, one interaction, and starts to show up in other places, different conversations, different offers, different types of outreach, because the pattern feels familiar. Not because the details are the same, but because the structure is. Something visible gets identified, a conclusion forms quickly, a solution follows. And somewhere in that sequence, something gets skipped. Once you notice it, you start to see it more often in how people evaluate performance, in how they position their work, and how they decide what needs to be fixed. It's the same pattern repeating itself slightly in different forms. And what stands out isn't that people are wrong. It's in how consistent the process is, the speed, the reliance on what's visible, the absence of context before conclusions. That's the through line. And once that becomes clear, the situation itself starts to look different. It's no longer about whether the outreach was accurate or whether the recommendation would have worked. It becomes easier to see where the interpretation shifted, where assumptions filled in for context, where the solutions attached to something wasn't the objective. And that shift changes how everything gets read. Because now you know you're not just looking for what's being said, you're noticing how the conclusion was reached, what was used, what was ignored, what was never explored. That's where the pattern lives, not in the outcome, but in the process that created it. And once you start seeing that, it shows up in more places than you expect. Not just in the outreach, but in the decisions and strategies and how problems get defined. Because the difference isn't who has more information, it's who knows what they're looking at. And once you see that, it's hard to unsee it. This wraps up Arc 1 of the Strategic Coaching Moment. Hope you found this helpful. If you did, like, share, and subscribe. Check out Arc 2, where I cover it from a different angle and allow you to be able to figure out how to be able to apply it to your business. I'll see you there.